Welcome to this week's episode of User Words Podcast. This is recorded on 8/21/2022. I'm Paul, and I'm joined once again with Aaron. Now, Aaron, for the past couple months, has been responsible for bringing up topics on a weekly basis, thankfully, and I do appreciate it. But this week, I've been musing on something and wanted to share it with Aaron and everyone listening, if anything, so Aaron can get a little bigger glimpse into how my mind works on things. Also, I don't know. I found it entertaining myself. I don't know if that's just me or whatever. Now, to those of you that know me, it'll come as no surprise on some of these things I'm going to say. Everything I've learned in life, everything I've learned about, I shouldn't say about in life, everything I've learned about friendship has come from three sources. Okay? The Bible, obvious stuff. The other one, which is more recent, Letterkenny, which I love how Aaron immediately just starts laughing. And I have a perfect example of what this means on why I say I learned this from Letterkenny. And the last one really shows my nerdiness, I guess you could say.
Uh-oh.
Why are you going, uh-oh?
I don't know. What is it?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Japanese anime.
I knew it.
Here at User Words Podcast, none of us are knowingly foolish. Okay, Troll.
Yeah, we have thousands of years of architecture we can go over.
Would you build your house on rock or sand?
Knowing Brewer, sand because it's cheaper.
Oh!
Of course, sand.
Oh, Brewer.
Typical Brewer.
Part of me wanted to hope that he was trolling by that.
But I think he was serious.
Unfortunately. Yeah. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm a nerd. Let's not sugarcoat it at all. That's not how I identify as. But if you listen to last week's episode, that is not my identity. That's part of who I am, but that's not what I am. I'm not, a nerd as my identity. It's just part of how I think, how I relate, how I do things, how I am in a way. Yes, I do a lot of tech stuff, but I also do other things. I play tabletop RPGs. I do all that fun stuff. So yeah, the nerd is in there. Okay. And I'll be the first to admit, saying that those are two sources on what I learned about friendship. That is an odd thing to say. The Bible, you go, oh, you're a Christian. Of course you're going to say that. Exactly. Then go, what? Letterkenny? That foul mouth? What?
Yeah.
Anime? What? Okay. So let's clear the air on something. American animation / cartoons. They're very different from their Japanese anime counterparts.
Yeah.
If you look at them, you have stuff like SpongeBob SquarePants. You have stuff. I love how you immediately go, huh. You have other things like Transformers. You have, G.I. Joe. These are things that were made to sell toys. They were not telling a story necessarily. SpongeBob, I guess SpongeBob was SpongeBob.
Yeah, they're
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And there's a variety of reasons why they are different. I honestly think one of the main reasons for this difference is just our society in general, differences in our cultures. Americans were very individualistic, very rugged, all that. Japanese culture, it's very collectivist. They do what's good for the betterment of the whole versus the individual. Now, it's starting to transition into a more individualistic society, but traditionally and historically, it has been that very cult,
Cult?
We do not cult.
No, I thought you started saying cultural, but then just stopped at cult. And I was like, cult? All right.
No, not cult. Wow. Collectivist.
Yeah.
Collectivist. Okay. Yeah. Now, like I said, that's changing, but a lot of these things that I'm going to reference were written in this time where this collectivistic society and all that comes in. Now, I'm gonna say these things, and I say yeah, the Japanese anime, but I am gonna say this, just because I'm fine watching anime, because a lot of the anime that I watch deals with more, I guess you could say, serious themes than that. Some, not all. Okay,
Yeah.
some. But just because I'm fine with it doesn't mean that means everyone
You
could
all
be
have
fine
to
with it.
be fine.
And the reason I say that, it's just the same way, like, I may be fine with drinking, someone else may not be, whatever reason. In the Bible it says, hey, pay attention to the weaker brother, don't do something that is, a temptation for them in front of them, help them along,
Yeah.
if I know, let's say, Aaron, that, you're struggling with something, let's say drinking or whatever, I'm not going to drink in front of you, out of respect for you, because I'm,
That's yeah.
if that was an issue for you,
Right. Yep.
and I wouldn't do that out of respect for you, not because I couldn't do it, but because I know maybe, you know,
If
it's something you're dealing with.
say if you have one in front of me, I might just lose it all and have to go grab a drink
Okay.
myself. I'm
Because
not that bad.
Japanese anime, a lot of it,
Yeah.
deals with things that are very let's just put it that way. Very non-Christian in a way, various Japanese gods, Hindu gods, depending on the culture and lore of it, supernatural things, witches, witchcraft, demons, demonic possessions, that sort of stuff. So things that are referenced that you look at and you're like, yeah, that definitely is outside the Christian circle.
Right.
So it's one of those things of where it's like, yeah, it's fine for me. I get that. Also, it's not everyone's cup of tea on entertainment style. I get that as well.
Right.
And that's why I'm not like, oh, you have to watch it. Da, da.
You gotta check this out.
Yeah, you could check it out or not. Whatever. Same with Letterkenny. That is definitely you. It is not a show I'm going to recommend just for anyone. You have to.
It's a great kid show.
No, it's not. Heck no. No.
No, it is not at all.
It is very much earning of its.
It's a mature audience for sure.
Yes.
Definitely a mature audience.
There's one scene I'm thinking of in particular because it was just on the episode I watched last night.
Spoiler alert.
Where I said, oh, I forgot about this scene. Yeah, definitely do not. No.
Don't recommend for kiddos.
Because, well, you could play for the kiddos and then they're going to have questions.
Yeah, and you don't want to deal with that yet.
There was nothing like graphic on the screen. There was no nudity. There was anything like that.
It's just the content.
It was the content. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, yeah. That I was like, I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit because people in the other apartments are probably going like, what the?
What is he watching?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. It was.
What is? Where is that in Letterkenny? Like where at in the
It was
series?
It was in season 3.
3.
No, it was in season 2.
Oh, 2?
It was in season 2 because I was back in season 2 and it was near the end of an episode and I forgot it was there and they started having the conversation. I was like, oh, I forgot about this conversation. I was like, turn down.
That's funny.
I was after it got like 30 seconds and I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna skip this conversation because
not worth listening to.
I know what it is. I don't need to be reminded of again.
Is it the baseball throwing one?
No.
Oh, it's different. It's not one I've seen.
No, baseball throwing was at the start of an episode. That was like their cold opener.
Yeah.
What I skipped last night was at the end of an episode. It was like the last minute of an episode.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, yeah, we're gonna skip this. But that being said, there is still some things that they reference in Letterkenny that when I saw it the first time, I was like, yes, they get it about community. They get it about friendship. They get it about what it means to be with someone when they are struggling and suffering through something.
It's funny.
That being said, there's going to be spoilers ahead for the things I'm going to talk about. So Letterkenny, Yes, there's going to be spoilers about that. There's going to be a spoiler for the anime that I talked about. We'll get to that in a second. So,
And there's spoilers on the Bible.
But okay, on the anime and the Bible, if I have to go spoiler warning for those two, I'm sorry. The anime started airing back in 2007, so it aired for 9 seasons,
Wow.
100+ episodes. So if I have to give a spoiler warning, and they already have like the sequel to it already airing now. So if I have to give a spoiler alert for that, I'm sorry, I can't do that because it's old enough where I don't have to give a spoiler alert.
But what if they're just new in the anime and they haven't gotten to it yet?
Then that's their fault.
Fair.
I can't give spoilers for everything. Letterkenny I can give not even a spoiler alert for it because I don't know. Maybe I can because stuff happens in seasons. With that one, I think it's seasons 8. I think it's season 8 to where that happens. Yeah. So season 8, it's they're on season 10. They just finished up. So, that one I'll say spoiler warning because someone might not be fully caught up on that. It's not like it was a season 1 thing that happened.
Right.
That was other fun conversations. Oh boy. Oy vey.
Oy vey.
Yeah, oy vey is the right word for that. But so anyways, so how are we going to approach this? Well, I guess I was like, let's start the extra biblical content first. That's where we'll start. Extra biblical.
Heck yeah.
Do you know what extra biblical means?
No, dude. Wait, extra biblical?
Anything that's outside the Bible.
Extra
biblical. Like anything that's extra outside the Bible.
Oh, I've never heard that said like that before.
So we'll start there and then move to the Bible says. That being said, there were points in here where I couldn't stop myself from saying, see how this parallels with what the Bible says.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, Aaron, before I go on.
Yes. Oh, no. Yes.
Have you yourself on a regular basis ever watched any Japanese anime?
Regular? No.
No. Okay. So you've never watched like a whole series through?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I've only seen snippets and maybe an episode. I've a couple times in my lifetime.
I know, like, it seems like whenever you ask that, everyone's like, oh, Dragon Ball Z. I can honestly say I've never watched a whole episode of that. I always think of the memes of it where it's like you just see them like sitting there going, I'm getting more powerful. It's over 9,000. It's over 10,000. That's what I think of when I think of Dragon Ball. Because that's what, like, anytime I've even seen any clips with it. So when I was in college, I lived in an apartment. And I'll admit, I probably could have made better with the situation. It was just me at the time. I could have done better with it. And I was a little salty that I got moved to that apartment. So it's on me. Okay. But those guys, they were huge Dragon Ball nerds. It was like they had the Dragon Ball t-shirts. They had the figurines all over the apartment. They were watching Dragon Ball anime all the time. It was just crazy. But anytime I would walk into the apartment, it was always the same thing. Just them yelling and showing the screen getting brighter and brighter as like some beam they were firing from their hands. I don't know. Again, I've never watched Dragon Ball the way through an episode, but just seeing it get brighter and brighter, brighter and brighter. And I'm like,
what's going on here?
But then I look at it and I'm like, okay, yeah. So yeah.
They're all special in their own way.
They are, and some of them are more special than others. So I guess the ones that I have seen are, I guess you could say the ones I've watched all the way through are the more quote unquote stereotypical ones. I guess you could say I haven't watched anything that's really out there. There's stuff that's out there that I'm just like, no, I've never, like, I would watch an episode and I'd be like, I can't get into this.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of those where I've tried like watching an episode too, go, yeah, it's not gonna have my attention. We're done. And and I move on. And people are like, oh, it's the best thing ever. I'm like, no. It lost me. It lost me. Okay. So I guess the stereotypical ones I watched. Naruto Shippuden. So Shippuden, do you know what that means?
No.
Okay. So I was like, hey, let's give Aaron some language learning because that's what Aaron loves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron's like, yeah, no. So it's a combination of the word shipu and den.
Shippuden?
So shipu means strong, swift wind, and den translates as legend.
A strong wind and legend.
Strong, swift wind. So like a strong legend, a swift wind legend. Yeah. But it could also mean legacy, but it could also mean someone being a legend. So, when you translate from one language to another, there's always going to be some, things there, but that kind of gives you the reference. Now, Naruto Shippuden is the second in the series of mangas. So, okay, back up a second. The Naruto anime is based off the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a manga is?
It's just I thought. Oh Jesus! It's like the Japanese book thingies or whatever.
Like a comic book,
Comic,
but but they're a little more than just like our traditional comic books that we think of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very Japanese style, obviously, and
Yeah.
if there are a lot of people who are like, well, you can only read it in the original language. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to read the translated language. They learn Japanese.
Wow.
They're committed that way, and to them, I'm like, good on you. Okay, like when I watched this series, Naruto Shippuden, it was in Japanese and it was all dubbed with subtitles. So I had to read all the subtitles.
Yeah.
I couldn't just listen to. And so again, it's the second in the series, second series in the series. If that makes sense. So they have Naruto Shippuden, and now they have Boruto. Just the third in the series, okay?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So Naruto is like when they're young kids, whatever.
Yeah.
They're young ninjas in the village of the wind. That's literally what it is. I never watched that one. I was like, no. I
just went straight to Shippuden?
I was like, it was so screechy with like the trying to be pre-teenage voices.
Oh.
I was like, nope. Nope. But then Shippuden is when they're teenagers, right? The teenagers growing into adulthood. So there's multiple things that they talk about in there. But the one that I'm going to talk about is some of the things they talk about with, where they showing friendship in that. And then the Boruto is his kid, Naruto's kid, continuing on the next generation. Okay. So that one, I said, that one's very stereotypical. Like everyone who watches anime has seen it. Soul Eater, that's another typical one. That one
I don't know of.
It's like a school run by death, and he teaches these people. So he teaches these people to hunt witches and purify and collect their souls. Half the students can turn into weapons, and half the students wield those weapons.
Huh.
It's a very interesting premise. Like, it's like, what the heck? Like, how does a man turn into a scythe that then the woman wields to hunt down a witch, right? And then, just all these other things. And they touch on, the whole friendship, family thing. That seems to be a very common set of issues and things that the anime touches on, Attack on Titan. That one.
I've heard of that one.
Okay. That one's a really good one. Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So essentially, it's the same series redone. So what they did was they did Full Metal Alchemist. They did it, finished it, and they said, you know what? Now that the manga's actually done, we're going to go and redo Full Metal Alchemist, but follow the manga instead of going off into our own story like we did with the original version. That one's good too. That one's more like, two siblings and what would they give up to get their mother back and the lessons they learned along the way. And then, ultimately you can't do that. You can't bring someone back from the dead. And how do you accept that and grow from that and everything? Not giving it the full thing, there's other things in there. One that I watched when I was young, I haven't watched it since, Yu-Gi-Oh!
I've heard of the Yu-Gi-Ohs.
But they use that to kind of like sell the game and everything, get people interested in the game.
Cards.
But they touch on a lot in there of what I remember in friendship, and I'll get into that in a second here. Sword Art Online. That's a more recent one for me. because that's still an ongoing, more recent series.
Mm.
It's this concept where it started was in the future, they have these VR headsets,
Mm. but
but they aren't just VR, they tap into the brain.
Okay.
And then, there's this new like MMORPG, like, fantasy, not like a D&D online sort of deal, where you could be like a swordsman, you fight the enemies, blah, blah, blah. And you have to climb through this tower of like 100 levels, to beat the game, right? And the inventor of the game decided at the last minute, even though the beta testers never saw this, to remove the logout menu from the game and locked everyone in the game. And if people try to remove your helmet from you while you're in the game,
You're
it killed
done.
you because it
You're-
microwaved your brain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or if people try to unplug it and drain from power, then before it lost power fully, it would just microwave and fry the person's brain, killing them. And then if you died in the game, you died in real life.
life.
It microwaved your brain. So it was this concept of that, where he goes, "Oh, I've removed the login button. The only way you're gonna be able to get out of the game is if you beat the game all 100 levels without dying once. Because if you die once in game, you're done." And it was just this thing of this struggle for survival, but then also watching these people as they make this new life online in this virtual world. And
What the?
yeah, it was kind of
This
it,
sounds nuts.
it was a cool concept. I enjoyed it. But again, it goes into that whole concept of friendship and love and blah, blah, blah. And like how you can overcome anything if you just believe in the power of your friends and your loved ones. Okay. So,
Yes.
so they, the first one they do like that. And then like every subsequent series is still in virtual world, still has some sort of thing, where like the guy's chasing after his girlfriend because she gets trapped and imprisoned in a virtual world. And, he's a sword user in a world of magic and fairies and he doesn't fit in. And then he's a sword user in a world of guns and bullets and he doesn't fit in. It just, some of them get just wild, but the original one is just miraculously good. I enjoyed it so much. It was beautiful. Animation was good as well, and they didn't shy away from in all of these didn't shy away from handling serious situations.
Mm.
Often you think animation kid show,
Yeah,
or we're gonna
no.
make it cutesy for the kids.
No.
Except for Yugo. Yugo was definitely
More
kid.
kid friendly.
Like that
yeah.
was when I was a teen kid, younger kid. That one, no serious issues. Although maybe a couple, they kind of started scratching in, but they didn't go too deep.
No.
But like Sword Art Online, I
Very
remember
heavy.
there was an episode where like the guy was trying to, in the virtual world, obviously, to rape one of the girls.
Oh,
And,
man.
the guy, the main character comes in and is like, "No, you're not doing this." And, and ends up killing ends up killing one of the people. I think he ends up killing or just, very
Yeah.
injured, and stuff like that. And it's like,
So anime is very intense.
it can be.
Well, yeah.
Attack on Titan, dude.
Can be
Them dismembering the Titans?
Yeah. That one was pretty gruesome at times.
Yeah. So I'd have to say the more gruesome ones in there would be like Sword Art Online. Attack on Titan definitely up at the top there. Soul Eater was more kidsy. That one's more like battling your own demons and your own insecurities and relying on others to help you be the best that you can be. That's what that one was about. I remember I watched that one. I don't remember a ton about it. It didn't really stick in my head. But I remember there was a lot of people being shot in the head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, there was a lot out there. Okay. So like I said, I'm not going to put a spoiler tag on the Naruto thing because again, back in 2007, it went on for 9 seasons, 100 plus episodes. There was a lot of episodes in there that, and to be fair, a lot of anime is guilty of this, where they'll have what's called filler arcs, or like you'll see this on like scripted TV shows once in a while too, where it's like, you go through like 5, 10 episodes, 15 episodes, And then they have like an episode or two which summarizes the entire past series of what's happened up to this point.
Oh.
And then they go on
okay.
to a new thing. So they'll have filler episodes, and it's just like, seriously, you skip the filler episodes, it becomes a lot shorter than 100.
Right.
But it's still a lot of reading because it's all dubbed. So you're sitting there reading. You're like,
Oh,
read.
gosh.
And if you miss something, you got to rewind and da.
Could not do it.
It's not as bad. Like I
It's
said.
terrible.
So, like I said, I didn't watch the original Naruto. That's when they're kids, right? Just because the screechy voices. And,
Yeah.
as a kids, yes, they dealt with some things, but not as much as like the Shippuden portion of that. So I'm going to give a quick but horrible summary
Do
of
it.
all 100 plus episodes. And the only reason I'm doing that is because this quick but horrible summary includes why I include this on my list.
Yeah.
Of what I learned about friendship from this. Okay.
Friendship.
So there's two main characters you need to know. Naruto and Sasuke. Yeah. Okay. So at the end of the Naruto series, he went off and trained with his mentor, basically. He was a child, and when he left, now he came back. So Naruto returns from his training. He's pursuing his former teammate Sasuke. His former teammate, Sasuke, has gone on a quest of what he thinks is revenge against people who tried to destroy his family and clan. So in the world there, he belongs to a clan within the village, and basically him and his brother are the only ones left of that clan alive. Everyone else is dead. And he thinks they were murdered by the other clans of the village. Turns out, spoiler alert, it was his brother that killed everyone. Except for, obviously him. And there's many reasons why that happened. They go through it and everything, right? And so he wants revenge. And as part of this, he wants to gain power. And over the course of the series, he's learning the truth about what actually happened to his clan, why, and all that. But it's not enough, even when he learns the truth, for him to be able to forgive the others or himself on what he's done up to this point. Okay. During this quest, both these main characters, Naruto and Sasuke, they are continuing to escalate in their powers, and their abilities. In like traditional anime style, it's like throwing shurikens made of air that like split up into smaller shurikens made of air. And then somehow they substitute themselves with a log if they get hit by something that kills them. Stupid stuff, which just makes great entertainment when drawn and everything, and just fancy dancy. I enjoy D&D as well, so hello, this is going to speak to me. Okay,
Right.
All right. And so during this quest, both these main characters gained tons of new abilities and powers. Again, this is a horrible summary I'm giving you, just like so surface level. And eventually they come to find common ground through this quest, and they find common ground in a villain that's set to destroy basically everything. And they join together and, combine their powers, kill the villain. And you would think life is good, right?
No.
No. In the last few episodes after the main villain of the series has been taken out, these two characters, they decide they have to fight.
But why?
They just teamed up to take down the main villain, and
now they gotta fight each
now
other.
they're like, it's our destiny that we are to fight one another. Okay.
But we're no.
And this has been foreshadowed and led up to over the entire series. Like you as you're going through the series, you're like, oh, Naruto is the reincarnation of this person who is the enemy of this person who Sasuke is the reincarnation of. And they are always eternally destined to fight. It's stuff like that. No reason why Christians might not watch it because of reincarnation and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they have this fight, and like I said, this has been led up to. So there are two examples that I'm going to pull from this series. There's a lot more that embodies this, but I'm going to pull up two quick examples. So the first one, it's from second 0 of episode 1, like the very first thing you see of this series. Okay. Literally the series starts and you see someone, you're in a first person view of someone running down a hallway. candles everywhere lit, doors randomly sparsed here and there, quarter branches and all that. And so it keeps going between first and third person of the person running through the hallways and everything. And they're stopping at every door they can find. They're going, is he in here? No, he's not here. He's here. They're just checking all the doors, all
Yeah.
frantic and everything. And then, they're splitting up, the three people just looking over and over again. And as they're going through, they do this until there's an explosion in one of the hallways. And the explosion, goes to the outside, and you see from the outside it's like a grassy hill and down into the hallway area. And all the three characters you just saw running, run into that area where the explosion was. And as they get out there, they look and they go, and you just kind of, dramatic camera panning in animation. It's ridiculous. But they slowly look up and they see that it's the person they've been looking for. They've been looking for Sasuke. Okay. And you see them just kind of stare at each other. And eventually, Sasuke just kind of, as they're looking, he's just kind of staring at them, and he calls out one of the team members' names there, right? And what I write here,
I don't know.
as they slowly look up and they see the person that they've been looking for this entire time, they just stare at each other for a moment, just saying each other's names for a few moments. Like literally, it's like Sasuke, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. It's corny as all heck, but it's getting to the point of they've been looking for this person.
Okay.
Why are and if you had watched the previous Naruto anime, I knew enough backstory, so it made sense to me.
Yeah.
But Sasuke had been their teammate before. He'd been
Okay.
on the same team, but now he's gone rogue, and so now these former teammates are looking for him.
Hmm.
They're seeking out in dangerous places, looking for him at no matter the cost. And as they're looking at each other, it's essentially the thesis, I guess you could say, of the anime, of the manga, is done in a flashback. So it's a younger Sasuke and Naruto, and they're fighting. And Sasuke goes, "It's having the bond that makes it painful. You've no idea what it's like to lose that." What he's referring to is all of his family and friends of his clan just died, right? And that's what he calls it, the bond, that friendship, that family, that
Mhm.
relationship. And, Naruto goes, "You're right. I don't know what having real parents or siblings is," because he had grown up with his parents dying right after he was born.
Mm.
So, he'd always been alone. So he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what that's like." He's going, "Well, you have no idea." And then Sasuke, "Why? Why do you go so far from me?" Naruto, "To me, it's a bond I've finally been able to establish." In other words, this is finally a friendship, a thing that's important to him, something that he can establish there, right? And then Sasuke goes, "Then I'll just break that bond," and then they come back to where they were, and they discuss, and Naruto goes, "Well, why didn't you kill me then? Why didn't you break that bond?" And he goes, "You live only at my whim."
Hmm.
And then they do another flashback, and it's like, "Oh, you want this true power to kill all these people? You have to kill your closest friend."
Oh no.
And then there's some things that happen, and they essentially, Sasuke comes down, and you see him like trying to stab Naruto, and then it fades to black. Well, then when the series starts after that, it actually goes back in time like 6 months prior to that, and you have to watch all the way to them to get into that in the anime. You're like, "What happened? He just got no."
Oh my gosh.
They're playing with your emotions, right?
Yeah.
So that sets up the dynamic between the two of them. One is on a quest to save a friend, and one is on a quest for ultimate power
Mm-hmm.
because he wants that revenge. And he's told the only way he can do that is by killing his closest friend. And Naruto is the only thing that he has as that closest friend, right? Again, I'm doing a horrible synopsis thing, so if you want more, you will have to watch it. And it means you'll have to read a bunch.
Ugh. Yeah.
They touch on more things in the series, growing up, responsibility, confronting one's own past, one's own demons. But the undercurrent through all of it is one person's quest to save his friend from the darkness, no matter the cost.
Mm.
My summary doesn't do justice in that regard, so that's what I said. If you want to know more, you're going to have to do that. But that's one of the biggest themes running through all 100 plus episodes. The second episode comes from the very end of the series. This is right after they defeat the main villain of the series and everything, things come to a head. They're literally standing on two different statues, who they're reincarnation of, like across like a river from each other. I think it's a waterfall even. And they have this huge battle, and of course it's an anime battle, so it's like huge orbs of power coming from their hands and all that is a clash. Well, they have a final like confrontation. They clash, and they basically use all their energy, all their strength in this final attack, and you see them next after the explosion, both of them laying on a rock next to each other, like Naruto's laying on, yeah, he's laying down, his right arm is gone. Sasuke's laying down, his left arm is gone.
Okay.
So they're laying down next. Ooh. So they're laying down next to each other. Their arms that's facing each other is basically blown off. And there's a puddle of blood just
Big
pulling.
explosion.
Like they weren't afraid of like showing the blood starting to pull out of their arms and flow and everything. That's why I said some of these are willing to go into more adult things,
Right.
and they're not afraid to show that. I can honestly say all these animes, none of them show any nudity or anything like that.
Mm.
They might suggest something, but
Right.
they
but-
never show it.
Yeah.
But this is the conversation at the end you had that stirring conversation where Naruto is seeking Sasuke out. And then this is the conversation at the end where Sasuke finally gets it. Naruto, you finally come to, huh? As you can see, if either of us moves too much, we'll bleed out and die. Because they're literally bleeding out
Yeah.
of their stubs of arms. Sasuke, why would you go that far? Why do all that? Just to get in my way.
Mm.
I gained the power to enter the darkness and sever all bonds. And naturally, everyone tried to cut their ties to me as well at some point. But you've never attempted to cut me off.
Mm.
And then they show some backflashes where Naruto's like, let me have that pain. I can handle that darkness you're dealing with. I can handle that pain. Let me help you. It's through these minor fights they've had through the entire series, where Naruto's pleading with him, like, let me carry some of that burden for you. Let me help you. Let me, help you through
Mhm.
whatever you're going through. And then they come back to present Sasuke. Why do you keep involving yourself with me? Naruto, you already know, don't you? Now that your body can't move, your mouth sure is moving a lot. Sasuke, just answer me. Naruto, it's the simplest answer here. Because you're my friend.
Mm.
And then they flash back a few times to the past episodes where they fought again. And Sasuke is asking each time why Naruto keeps chasing after him. Why he's following him to the ends of, their regions and everything. And each time it's the same thing. Because I'm your friend. Sasuke, I've heard that before. But what exactly does that mean to you anyway? Naruto, you asked me to explain it, but I really can't put it into words. It's just that when I see you take on stuff and get all messed up, it kind of hurts me. It hurts so much inside that I just can't leave it alone, and again, they're laying on the rock, bleeding out, and having this final conversation about it. And he's
Jeez.
finally coming to the realization why Naruto has been chasing him this entire time, why he was willing to do all this to reach him. For a Christian, these themes should sound very familiar.
Yeah.
They do for me. Go back to like Ecclesiastes here, 4, 9 through 12. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. Again, I'm not saying that anime or this Japanese culture is pulling from Christian
No.
values. They are very
Yeah.
much a collectivist culture.
Yeah.
But friendship is so important.
Important.
Community is so important that these things start overlapping each other.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, you learn things, you get things reinforced.
Yeah.
I will admit, I cried many times during Naruto.
Naruto.
I will admit that. You know, when you finally see like the character, obviously it's scripted. I know it's scripted.
Yeah,
But when you see that there's that interaction of the one person said, I don't care what you've done. I don't care
Yeah.
how far you've gone. I don't care that you've stabbed me, tried to drown me, tried to murder me, tried to blow me up, tried to kill me with whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm coming after you because I want to see you come back to village. I want to save you. You know, in Naruto, one of the things is he wants to become the Hokage, which is like the leader of the village.
Okay.
That's the title for like the leader of the village, right? And he goes, how could I become the Hokage if I can't save one friend? You know, and that's one of the lines he keeps bringing up over and over again. And as you go through the series, you watch as he turns his enemies into his friends.
Okay.
Like as he battles his enemies, like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, why are you doing this? And they're talking about all their hatred and everything. And he's like, and just there's multiple examples of that where he battles with them, but then as they talk while they battle, they eventually go, huh. And
Mind change.
afterwards they become friends,
Yeah.
you know, or like they'll like turn against their own allies to help him out and all
Mhm.
that.
Hmm.
You know, because they're like, oh, I see the self-determination of this kid. I'm going to help him out. You know, so that's why I said I learned from this, you know, or am not necessarily learn, but reinforce, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
you know, Galatians 6:1-10. Brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each other test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be in himself alone and not in his neighbor, for each will have to bear his own load. Let the one who has taught the word share all good things with the one who teaches. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season will we reap if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, especially to those who are of the household of faith. You know, again, another thing that kind of was emphasized to the show, you know, with that as well, you know, where he's saying, hey, look, I see what's going on with you. Let me help you. Let me restore you.
Mhm.
Let me help rescue you. You know, obviously to his detriment at many times
Yeah.
through this show.
Right.
But, you know, those things that were just reinforced over and over and over and over
Mhm.
and over again. And I just kind of, as I was sitting back reflecting on it, I was like, you know, that's kind of cool. Because whenever I think about those things, I keep going back to those things, even though I haven't seen that show in years. Yeah. I actually pulled because I knew where they were, because relatively, you know, new. I pulled them up on Hulu last night so I could get the exact, you know, sequence of wording. But I was like, yeah, I remember this was the very first episode, and I remember this was near the end of the series, like one of the last episodes. And I was able to pull it up relatively quickly because it left that big of a mark,
Right.
left that big of an impression that these are good lessons for teenagers and kids to learn, even if it's not coming from a Christian worldview. These are great things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on your friend no matter what. Seek after them. Help them if you can.
Mm-hmm. Never through. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, me never getting into the animes. I never realized there's anything like that.
Mhm.
Hot diggity.
Yeah, I'm not into the yay anime. Yay. It's just another thing that's on the example of place of, you know, things that I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm going to talk about one that I remember from like when I was a teenager watching,
Yeah.
but I don't remember enough to be able to like, I wouldn't have been able to find it if I went to look for it. Okay. So another, like I said, I watched Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was on after school when I got home. So, you know, have something on.
Yep.
And do you know what a Yu-Gi-Oh is?
What a Yu-Gi-Oh is?
What Yu-Gi-Oh is?
The cartoon.
Well, yes, it's a cartoon, but what is it? It's a card game.
Oh, okay, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know that.
It's like Pokemon card game or Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
in that vein, right? So when Pokemon was, hot and big, this was trying to come up, and they have a manga, they have a card game, they have an anime,
Mm-hmm.
and then they brought it to the US, blah, 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 dubbed it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, like Transformers, it was primarily made to sell the game.
Right.
And get kids interested in the game, get them to do stuff. But what they did, I remember this because it was emphasized to the point that was almost sickening.
Yeah.
Friendship, okay?
Okay.
Now,
okay.
when I say it's emphasized to the point of almost sickening, so okay. Like I said, I wouldn't be able to pull up the exact examples and pull up the dialogue, but like near the beginning of the series, somewhere in there, like they were somewhere.
Yeah.
They were somewhere, okay?
in the
but,
show.
But then they were, I think they were like going to have to like split up and go like different directions for a little bit, something like that. And then they're like, "Oh, but how am I going to do this? You're not going to be with me. I'm not going to see your friends. I'm not going to see my friend's face, Papa." And so one of the girls goes, "All right, everyone put your hands in the middle." And, they put their hands in the middle, and then she draws like a symbol on their hands with a permanent marker. And she's like, "This way we'll all know that we're all next to each other all the time."
Oh my gosh.
When I say it's sickening, like it's sickeningly sweet like that, right? And, later on that episode, the main character, whose name is Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatever. So he's in a card game. And he's like, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to win. My friends aren't here. I have no one to support me." And then he looks at his hand and goes, "They're always with me in spirit.
Oh my god.
As long as my friends are with me in spirit, I will have the strength to win." So this one is an example of one that just took it so far to just like sickeningly sweet.
Yeah.
And I just was laughing about it. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
One of those.
So, it was anytime that the main characters like were in any sort of trying position, and the trying position always happened in a card game. In that anime, card games are life and death. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
well, you lost certain card games and your soul was sealed in the shadow realm. I laugh at it now, but when you're a younger teen, that's
Yeah.
all you watch. And
Whoa.
I'm like, okay, well, I know it was animation, but still.
Yeah.
But anytime that was happening, they'd be like, "My friends aren't here to see me." And then they go into despair, and then they become evil and all this
Oh
stuff.
my gosh.
Then they go, "No, my friends are always here by my side," and then they break the evil, and they're good. It just
Good old Yu-Gi-Oh.
very example of how it can be too simplistic. An example of how it can be so sickeningly sweet that you're just like, "No, I'm getting diabetes."
From the sweetness.
But in essence, it is good, coming back to it, from a Christian point of view, I look at it, I'm like, well, okay, good. Yeah. Yep. Good. You're reminding someone that you're never alone. Cool. I can get behind that.
Right.
Especially in this connected world, we're always phone call, text away.
Yeah.
We just have to remember to make a phone call or text when things happen and come up.
Uh-huh.
What was that?
Nah.
Feeling guilty about something?
No.
So, in that regard, I was like, yeah, okay, I got that. So, and then I was going through this and I was like, all right, 1 Corinthians 3:16. Nope. I jumped a paragraph. Romans 8:37 through 39. So we'll start with there.
All right.
I love how by the way, 37 just starts with no. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor heights, nor depths, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. You want to go the Yu-Gi-Oh route? You're never alone.
Yeah.
As sickeningly sweet as the Yu-Gi-Oh thing is. Now, and that's the thing, like I was going through my list of like all these that I've seen and relatively well. And I'm like, that's really the only one that tries to emphasize that,
Right.
as secretly sweet as it does it that way. And and they have a ton of spinoffs, and I'm sure in all their spinoffs it's the same thing.
Same.
I can
kinda.
guarantee you it. 1 Corinthians 3:16, we get there now. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's spirit dwells in you? In other words, God's never leaving you alone. Sorry. You always got God on your side, whether you like it or not.
Right.
He's that permanent mark on your hand that you can always look to.
Always there, no matter what.
Yep. Where you can always go, I am not alone. I can do it.
I'm gonna put a mark on my hand.
What was it in Yu-Gi-Oh? What was it? The heart of the cards was the phrase.
Is that the phrase from
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh? That's
yeah.
where that came from?
Yep,
Okay.
the heart of the cards. I must believe in the heart of the cards and my friends.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that's where that phrase came from.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
That's so funny.
So you've heard that phrase before?
Yes, I have heard that phrase before.
Okay.
Mainly, I think probably in high school
Yeah,
from
well-
the band kids.
Well, that would make sense because that's about when Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably was taking off in popularity. It's still a game to this day.
Oh yeah.
That's still going on. So, yeah. So through both of these are just 2 examples, right? And a bunch of other anime I've seen, if I'm being honest. People are placed up against these impossible odds, and the only thing that is similar to all these is their friends are either there or directly sits somehow with anime magic.
Yeah.
that anime magic is weird, and I'm going to lend you my power. Yeah, exactly. It's weird. But yeah, it's not realistic. I get that, but it helps emphasize the importance of friendship and being a good friend to others. And sometimes as a thing that helps the other person come over whatever obstacles are going on in their lives.
Mm.
And you never know. Doing that sometimes can be assisting to you as well. Why you do.
Can it? No, I'm just okay.
So
Nah.
the other series, Letterkenny. I'm glad that I waited for you to take a sip right at that. It looked like you're about to do a spit take.
I was getting ready for it.
How are you going to do a spit take with Letterkenny?
Letterkenny. I've only seen 1 season of Letterkenny.
Yeah, you got 9 seasons to go.
I'm ready.
All right. So there are 2 specific instances that I'm thinking of. Okay. These all, okay. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. So the first one comes from season 2, actually.
Okay.
It's a quote that keeps coming up all season 2. Like it's the main theme of season 2. It starts in episode 1 and it continues through the last episode of season 2, except for the holiday special.
Okay.
It's not part of the holiday special. Holiday special is not canon, apparently. I don't know. So the quote that keeps coming up over and over and over and over again, and it gets the main characters of Letterkenny to do things that they don't want to do, such as taking in a person that's homeless, traveling to North Providence to protect some hockey players, doing weird things like that. And the phrase is, if a man asks you for help, you help them. If a man asks you for help, you help them.
Okay.
It's not any of this, hey, we're going to do this and you help me with something. It's on this
No.
quid pro quo stuff. It's, the guy comes up and goes, I'm homeless.
Help
me. And in the show that happens where Stuart comes up and goes, I'm homeless. Could help me. And Wayne's like, hard no. And his sister, Kitty, goes, and she goes, remember, if a man asks you for help, you help him.
Oh.
And he's like, fine. He doesn't like it necessarily, but he does it still.
Yeah.
It's a burden to him to have this guy that he definitely doesn't like, a drug user, drug dealer person, live in his house for 48 hours or so. They give him a time limit. They just say, you can't stay here forever. And then they say, okay, whatever. Now, the second example is season 8.
Okay.
There's actually 2 examples from season 8. So big spoiler alert.
Big spoiler.
Uh-huh. Because it will ruin season 7 if you haven't seen.
Okay.
Yeah. So Wayne is in a bit of a slump due to, at the end of season 7, finding out that his fiance had been cheating on him and he broke up the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So in his slump, he sequestered himself in a winter fishing shack that him and his buddies made back in season 3, I think it is.
Okay.
So they made this shack back in season 3. So they're making callbacks in season 8 back to season 3.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. And he's watching a fictional version of Canadian MASH. I forget what the name of the show is called, but it's just weird. It's just okay.
Yeah.
It's like general public and private sector are two of the characters' names. Yeah, general public and private sector.
Solid.
Exactly. All right. So he's just in a slump. He sequestered himself in that winter fishing shack. He has whiskey in one hand, a beer in another hand, watching his TV show. He's literally going from one to the other, just back and forth. And in this series, I don't remember if you remember, the beer is called Puppers.
No, I didn't. No,
And the whiskey is called Gus and Brew.
Ooh. Gus and Brew. That does not sound pleasant.
They're both dog-based like labels and
Okay.
like, all that. And in Canada, by the way, if you're in Canada, you can buy Puppers. They made a limited supply run of it,
Oh, that's dope.
but you can't get it in the US.
Not dope.
Well, that's fine.
Sorry.
Yep. So normally Wayne and his buddies, Squirrely Dan and that, they're out at the fruit stand down at the road, right? Well, because Wayne's kind of sequestered himself off in the fishing shack deep in the woods, they come back and they come with him. Like they don't go into the cabin with him.
Okay.
They sit outside the shack with the
Waiting.
fire, just waiting, and they're there within arm's ear reach if he needs anything, but they're
Yeah.
giving him the space to process and mourn and do things, but at the same time still being there supportive
to
of
be
him.
available.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you just need that. You just need to be a time to process, time to do things, but your buddies are saying, "Hey, we're still here regardless of what's going on." And they're still having their conversations and
Oh yeah.
they're making callbacks to season 2. Yeah, season 2 again with the baseball conversation. That comes up again
Nice.
and all that. So, that's all happening right there, right? And they're just sitting outside. They're respecting Wayne. They're giving him his space, but they're right there. They're helping in a way carry his burden with him. Not directly, but indirectly. They're there and saying, "Hey, you need anything? We got you." All right. And eventually, it takes I think like 2 episodes for him to kind of get out of the slump. But at the end when he finally does, they embrace him and they're like, "All right, welcome back," and they're all good to have him back and going. Okay. Few episodes later, Wayne's cousin shows up from the United States and he's a stereotypical American.
Oh no.
Big, loud car, big old American eagle with the flag on
Yeah.
painted on the hood. He's wearing an American button down shirt. When I say American button down shirt, I mean like a USA flag button down
Yeah.
shirt. Military guy, all that. So stereotypical, right?
Yeah. The
Again,
best of the best.
remember Wayne just broke off his engagement. And so he came up and, and originally he had planned Wayne's bachelor party.
Mm.
So he's like, well, essentially what's happening is he goes, well, we're not going to let that go to waste. We're going to have your bachelor.
We're gonna have a party.
We're going to have your bachelor party still. But anyway, so his cousin comes up, and I think this sums it up very nicely what it is. Squirrely Dan, Squirrely Dan.
Yeah.
He goes, so what brings you up north? Yeah. I have to make sure I read it right. With that character. He adds S's everywhere. And I was like, wait, there's no extra S's? Yeah. And I made sure I copied this off of the closed caption.
Oh,
directly.
okay.
And the cousin, his name is Jake, goes, well, what do you do when your cousins? Yeah, it said that. It's spelled that way. Cousins. COUISNT''S. Cousins down in a hole. And then everyone in unison goes, you get right down there with him. You know, so that's Wayne, his sister, Squirrely Dan, that Derry, and then Jake. You get right down there with him.
Wow. That's
What?
That's just funny, like how it like. No, I guess you had mentioned that also. Though, I think when you first started talking about Letterkenny, how it's like it's a very comedic show, but then they also, I mean, they really do hit home with a lot of topics, kind of thing.
Yeah, and they hit home with those small small town things. There's a lot of small town things that happen in that show.
Yeah.
Just how they protect their own, even if they hate each other or have had arguments with
Right.
each other and everything. But I thought that summed it up very nicely.
Oh
You,
yeah.
your buddy, he says your cousins. But which, the first time I heard that, I was like, "Come again now?" What?
Yeah, it just doesn't sound right.
But what he's saying is, when someone is down in a rut, when they're hurting, when they're
Right there with them.
you don't stand there and go, "Here, take my hand, let me pull you up." It's you're down there with them, pulling them up with you.
So maybe you're still pulling them up.
Yeah, you're pulling them up, but you're not pulling them up from above. You're pulling them. You're down.
No,
You're down in there, which
Yeah.
means you're going to get dirty as well. Which means
Potentially.
potentially, more than likely, if they're down a hole.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're down there. You're not saying I'm up here. I'm Christine, and come and be with me. You're saying,
Come learn.
look, I am right down here with you in the same situation, here to help you in any way that I can. Let's get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that is a good way to live like that, Christian or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And 100%, there is no way Letterkenny is a Christian TV show.
Of course it is.
Oh, heck no. 0%.
No,
It's like I would be very cautious about who I recommend watch that show,
right.
just because I'd be like, you need to be of a certain maturity level where you can just let that sort of stuff kind of wash off, because it's the same like with people who watch like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and that, great TV show. Battlestar Galactica is another one that comes to mind, where great TV show, but there are things in there that if you're not mature enough to handle, it could cause issues because they're between the language and trying to think of Battlestar. It wasn't nudity per se, but it was definitely very racy at times. I haven't watched Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, but I've heard that there's some grotesque violence, gunshots and all that. So, definitely not safe for kids type things.
No.
Same thing with Letterkenny. It's all language versus all of the. Yeah, there was a scene that I saw for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I missed it somehow. My first two watch throughs, and I saw it the third time, and I was like, "Oh, I missed that."
Oh.
What it implied.
Yeah.
They didn't show anything. They just showed the aftermath, and I was like, "Ugh."
Oh boy.
I was like, "Oh." Anyways. So that's what I was like. I was like, yeah, all right. That's a good way to do it too.
Down there with them.
Yeah, get down there with them. So then you're like, okay, you've talked about anime. You've talked about Letterkenny. All right, what does the Bible say? Well,
I mean, you brought the Bible.
I thought it was appropriate to bring it in there. Yeah, and then I some of this, like the ones that I normally reference, I already have in there.
Yeah.
And I looked up, I was like, okay, what are some other things that people say are verses about friendship? And some of them are like, I get it, what you're trying to go to, but like this one I think is a good one, okay?
Okay.
Because oh wait, nope, that's definitely not it.
Oh,
that one's a completely different one. That one's for something else. I don't know how that got pasted onto this page. I'll read it, but it definitely isn't related to this one. But I was like, yeah, this is for definitely something different.
Okay.
It's 1 Corinthians 15:33 through 34. I'm not saying this to you. Okay.
Okay.
Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Wake up from your drunken stupor, as is right, and do not go on sinning, for some have no knowledge of God. I say this to your shame.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, nope, that's not the friendship one. I don't know where that came from. Anyways,
Still a good verse.
yeah, it is. So, wait, did I already read that one? Nope, it's a different Romans passage. Okay. Romans 1, 8 through 15. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith is proclaimed in all the world. For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I mention you always in my prayers, asking that somehow by God's will I may now at last succeed in coming to you. For I long to see you, that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you. That is, that we may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith, both yours and mine. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that I have often intended to come to you, but thus have been prevented, in order that I may reap some harvest among you as well as among the rest of the Gentiles. I am under obligation both to Greeks and to the barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish. So I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. So this is a letter written to the Romans, and he's saying, yeah, I want to come to you, but I can't, but I want to come to you to encourage you. I want to come to you to be with you, to help lift you up and encourage you and teach you. And that's why he says he has a obligation to both the Greeks and the barbarians. When you think of barbarian, you think of someone uncultured, just like
messy and obnoxious.
To the wise and the foolish.
Yep.
But he says, I want to succeed in coming to you, that may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you. He's not just coming to hang out. He's coming to make you better.
Yeah.
Get down in that dirt with you and lift you up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yep. Do not, and this is from Proverbs 27, 9 through 10. Oil and perfume make the heart glad, and the sweetness of a friend comes from his earnest counsel. Do not forsake your friend and your father's friend, and do not go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor who is near than a brother who is far away. Now, there's a couple things to unpack in there, but, do not forsake your friend and your father's friend. In other words, listen to them. Don't push them away. It's not like they're coming to you for weird reasons most of the time. Most of the time. So there are, where the Bible says, hey, friendship is great. Friendship is, and as earlier, verses I had in there is like, the whole thing of like, a cord of three will not be broken. That you think of it that practically, a string, you have a string, just a simple one thread thing.
Right.
It's easy to
Rip
break.
That up,
But you have three strings wrapped around each other and you try to do that, it's not going to be broken.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's normally when I get out the knife and go.
Have to. Yeah. No, absolutely.
So that's what I've learned through anime, Letterkenny, and the Bible.
Three combinations I never thought I would hear together.
Now you have heard that combination.
Oh, man.
What?
Like, has your mom ever seen you watching or seen anime?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I wasn't if you ever watched any of that. Well, wait.
She would have seen maybe the Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger, but that was it. But she would have thought of that as just like a cartoon, right? Yeah. Because there was no blood. There was no nothing. Like anyone who died was they fainted.
Oh. Okay. Because I remember I don't know. I remember at some point kind of watching flipping through the channels and Yu-Gi-Oh was on once and I kind of watched it for a little bit. But yeah, my mom was just like, what is this? She's like, turn it off.
Yeah, and if you watch it from a Christian perspective, you're like, what the heck is going on in here? Yeah. They have these I don't know, they forget what they called them, but there was a ring or this puzzle that they hung around the neck that had spirits inside them that could inhabit the bodies of the person that they were wearing and possess them. And it was just weird.
Very interesting
it-
stuff.
It's like whatever. But again, I was younger when I watched that. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't go back to like pull up a reference for that, right? The
No.
Naruto Shippuden, I finished watching that maybe 4 years ago
Oh wow.
is when I
Okay.
finished watching it.
Oh.
Because it took a little while for him to come from Japan to then be dubbed,
Mm-hmm.
and all that, and or not dubbed, subtitled. Because there's subtitles and there's dub.
Yeah. And you did
And
the
some
sub.
people are like, I will only watch the sub. I don't care. Although after watching the sub, I tried listening to the dub.
And it's different.
It's different voice actors, so it's like
Oh.
because
Yeah.
it's people speaking English, not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not the voice I expect to hear anymore.
It's not right.
So I had to go back to just, so I went back to sub and just did it
Yeah.
that way, and yeah.
Wow. I could not have kept up with that.
But it's a lot of reading because so you're trying to read, but also watch what's happening on the screen at the same time. So you're like,
Right. So you don't miss anything.
your eyes are going back and forth, up and down, up and down, up and down. That's I personally like if someone's like, oh, what anime should I get into? It like that would be one I would recommend only because of all the positive aspects of it. It does have some craziness in it.
Yeah.
And then be like, just skip the filler arcs. You don't need to care about the filler arcs. And it has all the if I work hard enough, I can overcome my limitations. It has stuff like that in there, which all anime has that.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Oh yeah.
most TV shows have that as well.
Yeah. It's just about anywhere.
And it's just like, okay, fine, you can do that. Sure. And they always hit that upper wall, and then, it's always the main characters that have to save the day. Everyone else, no matter how strong they are, banded together, they will fail, except for the main characters somehow. The last
Because
moment, they'll get the special power.
They're spatial.
But that is one that's like, yeah, if you want to, that one's probably the least damaging of the ones I've seen. When I say damaging to your brain.
Right.
Soul Eater is just that one is just I can't even follow that one halfway through. Like I get to the end, I'm like, I am so confused on all the plot lines happening. What is going on? Full Metal Alchemist, that one's a decent one actually. Brotherhood, though, if you watch that, don't watch the original one just because. So there's Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh yes, that's right.
The Brotherhood is the closer adaptation to the manga, and it is definitely the better of the two stories.
Okay.
There's a lot more death in that one too.
Makes it better.
A lot more human sacrifices too.
Oh yeah.
That's what I said. There's a lot of stuff in these that, from a Christian point of view, you go, what
This
the
is
heck?
a little scary. I mean, if you're reading over the Bible too, there's a lot of weird stuff in the Bible.
Well, yeah, and Attack on Titan is human experimentation, turning humans into those monstrosities. Spoiler alert if you're not far enough along in the series, because that's definitely not known in the first season.
It goes a whole season without
Revealing that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not until like season 2 that starts unraveling.
Oh.
That, these Titans were once humans
Oh.
that were transformed this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know. Wow. Yeah, I was introduced when they were the Giants or Titans, whatever.
Well, yeah, so you start the series with the Titans attacking the city and everything, and the humans
okay.
fighting back.
Yeah.
But it's not until season 2 that you start discovering, that someone made them.
Oh,
okay. Not all of them, but most of them were former humans.
Yeah. Okay.
And that some humans have the ability to turn into Titans at will to fight back.
Oh.
So you started unraveling the whole story of everything.
Yeah.
Versus, we're just fighting for survival against these things that attack us.
Jeez.
Yep.
Louise.
It's
a wild, wild world out there.
I will say for most of these animes, except like the Full Metal Alchemist ones and Sword Art. No, even Sword Art. Yeah, just so Full Metal Alchemist is the only one I've listened to in pure English. I think Yu-Gi-Oh was English too, but again, that was
Yeah.
so long ago. But all these other ones, Japanese with reading.
No, I couldn't do it.
So
I would just get caught up in the visuals and not know anything of what's going on. Just watch all the.
you get used to it.
Yeah.
It takes like an episode or two, and then your brain adjusts to be able to read fast enough to keep up with what they're talking about. And to be fair,
To be fair. Oh.
to be fair, it seems that the Japanese language is a lot more dense to say something than English.
Mm.
So they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what Japanese.
It's
I can't reproduce Japanese, but
no,
it'll be like 30 seconds of audio,
and just only a few.
and it'll be like the word yes.
yeah, right.
And you're
right.
like, wait, what? Now, obviously, something was lost in translation, but yes.
Right. You get the
So,
gist of it.
yeah, you get the gist of it. It makes it English.
Jeez.
English compatible, I guess you could say.
Wow.
But yeah,
Never would have thought.
yeah, that combination.
Never would have thought.
What
God.
combination would you have thought?
Veggie Tales. No, I'm just kidding.
Veggie Tales is an interesting story.
Yes, it is.
How they went bankrupt and everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, poor Larry
Yeah.
and
So
Bob.
you know what bankrupted Veggie Tales?
I don't.
Remember their movie Jonah and the Whale?
Yeah.
It did so poorly in theaters, it bankrupted them essentially. They had to take out a loan to finish the movie. They did not make enough money back to pay it back.
Oh, no. Wow.
It did that poorly.
Ooh. I almost want to watch that again and see how bad it was.
The thing is they overestimated how popular they were.
Oh, so I thought it was going to be some big grand thing.
Yeah.
But people are like, no.
And so
It's
it
VeggieTales.
didn't live up to their
Expectations.
internal expectations.
Oof.
And there's if you're interested in knowing that, there's a YouTube channel called Saber Spark,
Okay.
and he goes over the rise and fall of VeggieTales.
Wow.
And he goes over, how VeggieTales came into popularity, what happened at the rise of popularity, and then why they have come
Fell.
they've come back down. They're trying to make a resurgence again.
Really?
Yeah, they have a new show of new VeggieTales like series coming out.
Really?
But
Oh.
it's more, let me put it this way. It's more lessons that are good for the collective society type lessons and less Bible story lessons.
Gotcha.
So,
Watered down.
yeah. And that's, that's due to a multitude of things. And I think the original VeggieTales creator, I don't think he's with them anymore.
No.
So he's become a progressive
topic.
Christian.
Yeah.
Progressive, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So that's all been entertained to watch. But yeah, if you're interested in that, watch Saber Sparks' video on it. He does do a good job of going into the history of it. And he goes, I'm not a Christian, but he's like, but I watched this when I was a kid. So he remembers it.
Yeah, it's funny how many people you hear have watched VeggieTales.
Probably because it was just at that time, it was actually good animation that didn't have any objectionable content
right
for parents to be like, oh, I'm worried about my kids watching it.
No, yeah.
No, unlike today, you put them down in front of a Cartoon Network and you never know what you're going to get these days. You're like, wait, no.
Yep.
The amount of innuendos and all that in Cartoon Network shows is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they could plop them down in front of the TV and be like, oh, yeah, I don't have to worry. And to the extent, even now, they could pop them down in front of the TV and watch the new stuff
Yeah.
and not have to worry about it. But it's not going to have that same biblical foundation in it
Right.
as strong.
Used
But
to.
again, if you want to know more, go watch that Saber Spark video because he did a ton of research on it.
Wow.
The one downside is you'll have to watch an animated character it looks like a sticker that keeps moving across on the screen. Like
Oh, okay.
the guy's character it's like a little cartoon, but it's like it's not animated per se. It's like a sticker, so it's like one position, and then when it needs to change positions, it changes positions.
Okay.
Then when it needs to change position, it changes. And I'm like, all right, cool, I get it. I know what you're doing. Don't need to see that again. So,
Oh.
any comments, questions, concerns?
Concerns? No. I don't think so.
I was gonna say, if you have concerns, let me know what they are. But questions? Because if you say concerns, no, makes me wonder: do you have
Do I have
questions or comments?
Questions? No.
Comments?
Comments?
Say it.
He. Oh, I don't know why this came to my head, but because ADD, I don't know, whatever. I started thinking about Toy Story.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why?
because the phrase that I always remember from Toy Story is "You got a friend in me."
Oh my goodness. How did I not see that one coming?
I don't know. Oh man. And then I started thinking about Gatorade.
Okay. Then what are you thinking about now?
Oh, there's so much, Paul.
I got the time.
Oh, I know. I mean, you got some time. I don't know if you got all the time.
I got all the time.
No,
Do we do an episode of What's on Aaron's Mind?
no, no. I'm thinking back about, like all that you were sharing for where you learn about like friendship and stuff. I was like, yeah, I see a lot of that. No, a lot of that makes a lot more sense.
It makes a lot more sense to you?
Yeah.
It makes a lot.
As
makes
far
a lot
as
more
this
sense.
friendship as how this friendship has been, I was like, hot diggity dang. I was like, yep.
Makes more sense to you now, huh?
It makes more sense to me.
And it's talked about in the Bible, where you are supposed to go and you're supposed to help your friends. You're supposed to help carry their burdens.
Oh yeah.
You're supposed to be with them in that. But I'm a very visual learner. Okay. So anime helps get that across to my stupid brain.
Oh, yeah.
That's
awesome.
But yeah, so now it fills in a few more gaps for you, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
You're the Sasuke.